Happy we bought it, and my answer was, I'm confident I will be happy we bought it. All right, the way I phrase it to myself is, would I give this person my login to my bank account? And if I'm even hesitant, I'm like, oh, okay, it's not the right partner.
Whoa. So you feel like that about the people you partner with now?
Absolutely.
Well, hello.
Howdy.
Howdy. We're here now.
We're here.
My name is Grace Shockey. This is Will Coleman. We are going to do a little chit-chat. I just heard that you did a pretty cool apartment syndication / purchase an apartment with some partners.
Yep.
And wanted to ask you a couple questions about it.
Let's do it.
Well, before we do that, I was wondering your background in real estate. You've been in real estate for 7 years, is that right?
Yeah, just about.
What was the journey like? Did you always know you wanted to do that, or did you just sort of find yourself there?
So I got into real estate pretty early, like right out of college. And I didn't know that that's exactly where I wanted to go, but I very much was just like, where's the best investment? It was like, I always thought of like, I don't want to work a job my whole life, so what can I do to earn enough income where I don't have to work a job?
Did you study finance?
Economics.
Okay,
so
you're already kind of primed for that.
Yeah, and I had good parents who pushed me in that direction. My dad used to always say like, buy a house or buy a duplex, live in one side, or rent out the other.
House hacking, I love that.
Yeah, so he had the whole house hack thing before he knew what it was.
Cool.
So he kind of planted that in my brain, and so right out of college, that's what I wanted to do, buy a house, and I bought a house, and it was a 4-bedroom house, and I rented out the other 3 bedrooms, and then a year later, I bought another house, and then 2 years later, I bought another one. And
did you just rent it out each time, the first one and then the second one?
Yeah, the first one I lived in and rented out. The second one was actually my next door neighbor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she came and knocked on my door, and it's a sweet old lady that lived there forever, and she was like, I heard you just bought this house. We're thinking about selling our house. Can we ask you what you paid for it? And I was like, absolutely. And I was like, in fact, like, I'll make an offer on your house if you're interested.
Nice.
And so I went and walked at her house, and I was like, I made her an offer, and she took it. And it was not in good condition. So we were able to get a hard money loan, buy it, fix it up, and then rent that out.
So you weren't licensed at that point?
I was a licensed realtor. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice. I have a bad habit of doing too many things at once.
Oh man, I can relate.
Yeah. So yeah, I was a realtor as well. The point of me getting the realtor's license just so I could have access to comps, make my own offers and things like that. And I did some listings and things like that, but I did not enjoy it. I'm not a natural salesman, so that was not fun. So yeah, I bought that, and at the same time I was working at a commercial real estate bank. So understand like underwriting and lending and things like that. And
were you just doing underwriting for them? Were you like an analyst?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was an analyst. And it just kind of grew from single family to multifamily. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
Sweet. Nice. So how do you find yourself here? You've got Urban Gate Capital. You're the CEO.
Yep.
And excuse me if this is rude, but you don't look very old. I mean,
no, I'm 28. Yeah,
28. Yeah, that's super impressive. That's awesome. So
Thank you.
I guess you started at 21. Math is right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was working at a commercial lending bank. We did all real estate lending. So we did like retail, commercial properties, residential, all different types of real estate. So I learned the underwriting side and got to understand the numbers of real estate really well. At the same time, I was like slowly buying single family houses in Texas.
Right.
And
where in Texas?
Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was literally there yesterday.
Really?
Actually. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I flew back through there.
Yeah. Shout out to Texas.
Go Texas. Can't tread on them.
Yeah, that's right. Don't tread on us. So I got, do you know Jake and Gino? Or have you heard of them?
I don't think so.
They're like a multifamily education company.
Okay.
So I got connected with them, and they were starting a multifamily debt brokerage.
Okay.
So they recruited me from my commercial real estate bank in Texas to help them start a debt brokerage business. So debt brokerage, like we would broker debt. So someone who's looking to get debt on multifamily, you could come to the brokerage and we could give you like, okay, here's a bridge quote, here's a agency quote, here's a bank quote, and you can pick between the 5 or 6 different options.
Oh, cool.
And I moved from Texas to Tennessee in Knoxville.
Okay.
That
was where they were based out of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I was going to say Knoxville is kind of random, unless you went to UT.
No, it's random. It's a beautiful city. I love
really
it.
is.
Yeah.
How long did you live there?
So I was there for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was helping them build that company, and I was there for about a year and a half, and I was like, the way I always phrase it is we were running into way too many hurdles. Like it was way harder than it should have been. And at the same time, I had met my current business partner, Brandon Thornberry, who was doing hard money lending with his own cash. And
did you say his background was investing? Just like
Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So most people who's familiar with Ren will know Brandon Thornberry. So he's been investing in Nashville for like 15 years. He mostly is in East Nashville, has built up a pretty strong single-family portfolio and owns a pretty healthy apartment portfolio as well.
Okay.
And so he was doing hard money lending with his own cash. And I met him and kind of gotten acquainted with him while I was still in Knoxville doing the brokerage business. And I was like, man, like that hard money lending business really makes sense. And I was kind of looking for a way out at my current company. And so I put a business plan together, proposed it to him, and he said yes. And I moved to Nashville. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're just like, I want to do this with you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah. Great, the opportunity.
Yeah. That's how I got here.
Okay. Nice. Well, the reason that, we're kind of here today, I heard you just finished closing on an apartment pretty recently.
Yep, in May of last year, 2022.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the deal?
It's in Paris, Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah. So who all did you go into that with Brandon?
Yep.
And were there any other partners?
So there's one other partner, so there's 3 of us on this deal. So it's definitely a JV versus syndication.
We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Could you break that down for anybody that doesn't know the difference?
Yeah, so JV is a joint venture. So it's I'm gonna look at you because I feel weird looking at the camera. I was like, look at it.
Occasionally, I like to include people. Hi.
Yeah.
But yeah, please look at me.
Okay,
we're talking.
A JV is a joint venture. So that is like if you're partnering with a handful of people that are all in the decision-making process. So the decision-making process and all kind of have a role in the management of the property. Whereas
So it's like a board kind of?
Probably just a partnership is a good way to think of it.
Okay.
Like we're all partners. We're all doing this together.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Whereas a syndication is like I'm a passive investor and I'm giving you $1 million to operate this business or this property, and I have no involvement in it.
I'm just going to use your money like a tool and pay you a dividend.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because once it's 100% passive, once I'm not involved in the decision making, it becomes a security. Okay. And that means you need to file as a syndication. So you have to register with the SEC and fill out a ton of paperwork, and there's accredited investor laws, and there's a lot of laws around passive investing. So if and the main difference is if the capital provider is involved in the management of the asset, it's a partnership. If they're 100% passive and they're not involved in the decision making or the management, then it becomes a security, and therefore it's a syndication.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah, and I'm not an attorney, so
none of this is legal advice.
Yeah, not a legal advice. Check with your attorney, but that's how I understand it at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I never actually understood the difference until today, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can you share any rough costs of the project? That would be interesting, I think, for other Ren members.
Yeah. So this is a very unique deal. So I'll give you the full story of it. It's a wild property. Dude. So there's stories for days on this one.
Go.
So the way we found this deal, because that's always important, is the current seller had basically not taken care of this property at all.
What year is it?
1930.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's a 32 unit apartment complex built in 1930. Okay. It was originally built as a courthouse. So it's the town's courthouse.
Wow.
That was converted into apartment complex. And I actually don't know what year it was converted.
Interesting.
But the original build was 1930. So you can imagine
new pipes, electricity, I assume.
I'll have to show you pictures after.
Yeah, I want to see.
It's a disaster.
Oh my gosh.
So the current owner, the previous owner, had not taken care of it. Hadn't paid his taxes, hadn't paid contractors going out to work there.
Oh no.
Almost basically abandoned the property.
So he wasn't even doing tenant improvements if whenever they turn, nothing like that?
No, so there was a tenant who lived on site that would do the maintenance. and I guess, the owner would let him live there for free or comp his rent or something per work order. So the owner was like barely involved in managing the property.
It doesn't sound like a tight ship.
No, not a tight ship at all.
Okay.
We would call local contractors and say, hey, can you give us an inspection on the roof? And they'll go, I'm not going out there until the guy pays me.
Oh.
So there was multiple people that he had not paid in the city.
It was a situation.
Yes.
Okay.
So 32 unit, Paris, Tennessee, built in the 1930s, and the owner took it to a broker, Brian Truman, if you know him.
I'm not familiar.
Okay, he's the man.
Brian.
Yeah, Brian Truman. He's with SVN or Excel, I think.
It's a commercial group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the commercial brokerage company. Took it to Brian and basically said, like, I know this property is a disaster. I don't want to take it on market. I don't want people touring it because it's a disaster.
Right.
So he said, bring me a buyer that is okay with these types of properties. So he brought it to Brandon, who is not known, but Brandon likes heavy value add deals. So he likes buying something, and he's not afraid of really scary deals. So he brought it to Brandon. We went and toured it, and we came to an agreement to buy it for $750,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the way it references for me is imagine a single family house in Nashville.
Yeah.
And we were able to get 32 units for almost what you could buy a single family house in Nashville at.
That's insane. So I'm thinking of East Nashville. You said Brandon likes to invest there.
Yes. Yeah.
East Nashville, you can buy a 1930s 4-bed home for that.
Yeah.
Or more.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. Well, I always say
maybe
it's about $25K a door.
Okay.
And most multifamily trades in the 80 to 120K a door.
Okay.
So we're way under what typically we'll trade, but
how much do you have to add per door?
We'll probably end up putting 15 to 20K in a door in total.
So you haven't done this yet? You closed in May?
We're in the storm now.
Gotcha. Because I guess you have to wait for the tenants to turn over, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a disaster, and we knew it was gonna be a disaster, but we're in the middle of the disaster right now, so
right.
it's fun. But to go through the numbers quickly, so we bought it for 32 units. We bought it for $750,000, so it's about $25K a door.
Okay.
We'll put about $300,000 to $400,000 worth of renovations into it. So we'll probably be total at 1.1 million or so total cost. I'm not great at mental math, so I don't know what that is per door, 35K a door or something. Let's see.
Yeah. I was going to grab my phone, but we're filming on it.
Oh, nice. Let's see.
Yeah.
So let's do 1.1 million divided by 32. So 35K a door.
Okay, so that's still pretty far under what
you
said.
It's we think it'll be a really good deal.
Okay.
But I mean, we're we have meth issues. There's
a
ton of tenants that are addicted to meth.
Okay.
I don't know if they're cooking it, but
Oof.
I'll talk to the guy who lives next to the property, and he's like, "Do you know how much drugs runs through that property?" I'm like, "I do."
Oh my gosh. What a mess.
Yeah, there's meth. There's we have issues with the police coming to the property. There's bed bugs. There's mice. There's
bed
leaks.
Bugs are a bad one, aren't they?
Yes, they're brutal.
Yeah. So you're in the middle of this right now. So maybe you don't have the entire story, but would you go after another project like this?
Brandon just asked me that about a week ago.
Did he really?
Yeah. He's like, "Are you happy we bought it?" And my answer was, "I'm confident I will be happy we bought it."
That's good.
Yeah.
Optimist.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 years from now, I'm going to look back I'm so happy I went through that. But right now it is it's chaos. I mean,
does it keep you up at night, or do you find yourself thinking about it on a Saturday when you're hanging out with people?
Not really. I have developed the mental ability to separate the stress of work between daily life, because outside of real estate investing, I also run a business with employees. So that you have to kind of have that ability.
Or else you're not very happy, right?
Yes, yeah, it can be very stressful. There was one night where in Nashville it was like -2 degrees or so.
This is like before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a week. It was really, really cold.
Yeah.
And that building is not well insulated. So that kept me up. Not necessarily. More so, I was worried about the tenants were going to be freezing. And that was one night where I was like, I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't sleep. But besides that, that hasn't really happened.
Okay, all right, that's good. I'll consider. You hear some stories, like it's stressful, especially if it's one of your first deals. It's like that's a lot of pressure. But it sounds like you're handling it okay.
I'm doing all right. Do you know Tyler Cobble?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So one time I asked him because he handles a lot, and I asked him, I was like, "How do you handle the stress?" And he's like, "That's kind of my superpower. Is like I don't really feel the stress." I was like,
"That's a great superpower."
Yeah.
Man, just lean into it.
Yeah.
There's a quote. Probably gonna butcher it, but it's actually I can't even remember. But basically, it's just like lean into what scares you, because if you try and go around it, it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I noticed that even in the smallest things in my life. If there's like one thing on my checkbox that I keep not checking, it just gets scarier.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think about phone calls. Like, if I'm scared to call this person, that means I have to call them.
Do you just do it immediately? Do you do like the 3, 2, 1 go Mel Robbins thing, or?
Sometimes yeah, sometimes no. Sometimes I'll strategize at how the conversation could go, but that's always a sign. Like, if I'm scared to call this person, that means I have to call them.
Yeah.
Even if it's like I don't need to, because I'm afraid I have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So big picture financials, you're in it for like 1, 2. Going back to that.
1, 2.
1, 2 or 1, 1. Or after you.
Yeah. It'll be around 1.1 million.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Do you think that this is a great deal financially, aside from all of the stuff that you're having to go through?
I think it will be. I mean, typically properties trade at like, obviously we don't know right now because of interest rates, but they'll trade from like 6 to 8% cap rates. And I mean, I actually don't know the cap rate off the top of my head, but let's see.
How often does that change? Is it just like the interest rate? Like,
it's market driven, so like, and it is impacted by interest rates. So if prices go down, that means cap rates are going up, and if interest rates go up, that means prices are going down.
Vice versa.
Historically, cap rates have compressed and compressed and compressed because interest rates have gone down, which means prices have continually gone up. But recently, because interest rates are going higher, prices are going down, so cap rates are increasing. And if I need to break anything down for the people listening, let me know.
No, you're fine. I think most people would be familiar with that, but again, everybody starts from somewhere.
Yeah.
Everybody starts from different spots.
So let's see quickly. So it produces about $13K a month in revenue when we bought it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say.
What was the occupancy rate?
It was about 100% when we bought it. Now it's like 50% occupied.
Okay. What were you getting a door? Was it for monthly rent?
The in-place rents are like $450.
Dang.
Yeah. I mean, this is like people who are in and out of homelessness.
Yeah.
And our goal is to take it to like $750. If we can get $750.
Does the market support that?
We've rented. We're finding that out. We've rented a couple units now at like low 600s. So we're definitely not renting as we would have liked, but the property is still in a construction zone. Like, we're renovating all of the hallways, repainting everything, ripping out all the exterior doors. So anyone who goes to tour it, you're literally in a construction zone. Like, there's 7 units being worked on at once.
Yeah, that's not conducive to top dollar.
Yeah,
right?
like we haven't painted the exterior of the building yet. So, but we've been able to rent it mid 600s. While it's a construction zone. So
that's pretty good.
We'll see.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, were you breaking that down?
Yeah. So 13,000. I actually don't know what the expenses were when we bought it, but I'm gonna say the expenses are about $6,000 a month. So it's
like property manager, utilities.
Yeah, property management, utilities, insurance, repair and maintenance, bunch of random stuff that pops up. But so. NOI is about 6,000 or so.
NOI, that's net operating income after everything that you pay.
Yeah,
utilities and
before paying your debt, but after all the operating expenses. So times that by 12, and then apply like let's say a 10 cap. I'll do a 9 cap. I did that wrong. 6 times 12, so NY divided by 0.09. So that's about 800,000. So we bought it about a 10 cap.
Okay.
Which isn't like phenomenal, but that's pretty good. I would say.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm confident. I think you guys will do well. Do you think you'll hold on to it? That was one thing that was popping up. Is this like a flip for you guys, or do you think it's going to be a 10-year or?
Yeah, I personally like to buy things and never sell.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily like a very appealing asset, but it's a cash flowing asset. So I think
like
this will
a workhorse.
Yeah. It's not something you drive by and go, wow.
Looky there.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think our plan with our 3 partners is to buy it, get it cash flowing, and just hold on to it forever.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's see. I'm trying to hit them all. Oh, we briefly chatted about this. Do you do cost segs in y'all's deals?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that I asked you this, but can you break down cost seg for anybody who doesn't know what that is?
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not an expert on it, but I can explain the high level of it.
Okay.
Basically, when you buy a piece of real estate, it's depreciating, meaning it's losing value each year because there's things you have to fix. So like the roof, the cabinets, the paint, the plumbing, electricity, like those are things you constantly have to fix or else they'll deteriorate. So you get a tax benefit of depreciation by it's a paper loss that you can count against your income. So you can say like, oh, it's depreciating X amount per year, so you can count it as a loss on your taxes.
And you do that by having like an appraiser or somebody come in and basically like kitchen countertops are worth this much, hardware is worth this much,
Exactly. And cost segregation, an expert will go look at it and say, here's how much everything is depreciating. And then you can take, this is where I don't know the exact details of it, but you can take certain items and like, let's say maybe cabinets, like they deteriorate within 5 years. I think it's anything that depreciates within like has like a 5-year lifespan.
I think it is 5 years.
Yeah.
If anybody knows differently, comment, let us know.
Feel free to correct me.
Yeah, let us know.
You can take all of that and and what do they call it? Accelerate it to year 1. So your year 1 depreciation is significant. It's pretty significant.
Right.
And then you can use that to offset your income. And then it carries forward as well. So like let's say 1 year you made $1 million, but your depreciation is $1 million. Depending on how you earn that $1 million, because it depends, like it only offsets certain types of income. So depending on, let's say it can all be offsetted. If you have $1 million income, $1 million accelerated depreciation through a cost seg study, then you can technically have your tax return show $0. And like most of the, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a little wild. It's not something I think is like super moral, but
it feels like a weird loophole, right?
Yeah, it's yeah.
It's not going to be around forever, from what I understand.
That's right.
Aren't they? They're kind of coming down. Like, is it going to be 80% next year?
I don't know the exact percentages, but yeah, it's like over the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to like slowly roll down the bonuses you can take, and because I think it became very active during the Trump administration because Trump's a big real estate guy, so it makes sense. And they're like kind of rolling that back, which, I mean, I'm torn because like I benefit from it, but also from like an objective standpoint, it
being
doesn't
a good
really,
citizen and all, paying your dues.
A lot of people are going to hate me for saying that, but
well, everyone has their own opinion. That's fine. Well, the fact that it's there at all, whatever percentages, is definitely something that I feel like people should take advantage of.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to people, there's a lot of people that have been doing real estate a long time that don't know about this tool. So
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, there's probably more that do, but
yeah.
It's
yeah. My almost everyone who's invested with me, like it begs me to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Because a lot of the people that are investors make a lot of money, so they want to offset their income. So it's like, it's very important to them.
So did you do that on this deal, even though it was in 1930s?
We haven't done it yet, but we will do it. We'll probably do it in the next like 2 to 3 months because there's a benefit to doing it after you've done a majority of the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because then it's a higher value on the asset. Yeah. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Cool. That's actually pretty much everything I had for the apartment. But is there anything else you want to just share with people who might want to do this in the future?
I mean, for multifamily investing, of just like advice.
Yeah. What's something that you would tell yourself? What's something you would tell yourself 2 years ago that you know now that you didn't then?
That's a good question. 2 years ago. I think that I guess I would have two things. One, it would be like really prioritize good relationships. So not only people that are extremely capable, but people that are extremely like ethical and have strong character. Like try and find a combination of people that have extremely strong character, but also are extremely capable.
Why is that? Why those two?
I guess one without the other doesn't really benefit you, right? Like I made a lot of mistakes of aligning myself with people that were extremely capable, but not super strong character. And that will ultimately lead to a downfall. Vice versa, so you have people that have extremely strong character but aren't extremely capable, you kind of stay in the same place. Like great person, but in terms of your career, it's not going to really get you somewhere. So not that I didn't know this then, but I would say like really, really prioritize that because I would have the bad habit of like just jumping into partnerships with people because like, we're going to make so much money.
This is so cool.
Yeah. And then, it would ultimately like we'd get in fights and we'd argue and it wouldn't work. So like partnerships are really difficult. So like I almost prioritize the character, and the way I test, the way I phrase it to myself is, would I give this person my login to my bank account? And if I'm even hesitant, I'm like, okay, it's not the right partner.
Whoa. So you feel like that about the people you partner with now?
Absolutely. 100%.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Would I give them the login to my bank account?
Yeah.
I like that. It's probably a good question for like friendships too.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, would I trust this person?
Yeah. It's a very good qualifying question. And even if I'm like, then that tells you something.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so that was the one, is prioritize like really good relationships. The second one would be like go way bigger, like go as big as possible.
What do you mean by that? Like don't limit yourself in what you are dreaming about, or just like ask for more.
I think the first thing you said of like typically whatever ceiling you put on yourself will be the ceiling that you reach.
Yep.
So like just put the ceiling way beyond what you think is possible.
Yep.
Because the people that I look up to, I don't know where they get it from, but they're just like, it seems like their ceiling is way higher than mine, just naturally. So I try and like learn from them of, like, for example, I was in single family for a long time. I was like, I have the capability to go much bigger, so I might as well go bigger.
If I'm doing a deal, why am I not doing this deal versus like one home?
Yeah. Just have your ceiling as high as possible, I guess I would say.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
What's something that you wish everyone understood about investing? Can be anything. Can be technical or general.
I think it's very easy for people to convince themselves that they're right when they're not. And I think that's just human nature. Like I do
self-serving bias.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I think I wish people, and I include myself in this, were more aware of how easy it is to get like emotionally tricked. Like your emotions will trick you very quickly. So that hurts a lot of people, and that's why we see swings up and down, is because it's mostly human psychology.
Well, like in 2023, we're looking at the market. A lot of people are afraid to buy.
Exactly.
When in fact, I think it's actually a really good time because
Absolutely.
you have much more leverage. You have negotiating power. Sure, the interest rate's a little higher, but you can always refinance that.
Yep.
But it's super interesting. Like, when it's not really a great time to buy, everyone says it is, and they're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You have an opportunity and no one wants to move.
It's literally the opposite. Like,
It's so weird.
it's finally a good time to be a buyer.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, I wouldn't touch real estate right now. And
Right.
It's like, that's the last thing you should be saying. I mean,
Yeah.
no one knows what's going to happen. So the market could crash 6 months from now and we look like idiots. But
Well, it depends on, I think. Hey, there's a little self-serving bias right there. But personally, I'm with you. I don't think that you should sell, ever, unless you have to.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're of that mind and it's a solid deal and you can afford it, I don't think it's that big of a risk.
yeah,
But again, my self-serving bias.
I think so too. And exactly what you said of like when prices are increasing so quickly and interest rates are just keep dropping, everyone's like, oh, I'm buying real estate. Like, it's probably the worst time to buy.
You're overpaying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing and just being so open about it. And I'm sure the community appreciates it a lot.
Absolutely. This is fun.
Check out Will, Urban Gate Capital, if you guys want to do any deals with him.
Yeah.
You know where to find him.
Hit me
I
up.
don't know what that sign out was, but that's got to be the new slogan.
I hope they cut that one piece.
Right.